Stand by for the Brewery Underground podcast.
In Nashville's harbor rise, cracked and bruised beneath the skies. Stephen Scott, they lead the way. Brewery Underground, night and day. Raise your glass, let's ignite. In this city, we unite. Raise your glass, let's ignite. In this city, we unite.
Look at that.
And we're live.
We're live. Well, we're not exactly live, but we're live for
I mean, at the moment,
being live. At the moment, we're being live. And you know what? We're at a great place, man. We are at Stoke Haus Brewing and Barbecue in East Nashville, Steve and Scott. And look at the guy who is sitting next to us, Chad Mueller, the man in charge. How are you, sir?
I'm all right.
Yeah?
It's fine. Yeah. Time doesn't exist.
And time doesn't exist. That's right.
It's all one clump of
Yeah, it's
know.
just it's like, hey,
a series of naps and taking care of things here.
That's right. When you own a brewery, it doesn't matter what time it is, right?
Well, I mean, I think that's owning any business. But luckily we do. I mean, we've got a good team here, and I've got a good business partner in Mike as well. So it's not too much. It's a lot, but it's not too much.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, we're great. We're great to have you on our podcast because we've been talking about this for quite a while, and we're actually recording this on a Sunday morning.
Yep.
And we have beers in hand
that's
already.
right.
Look at this.
It is officially 9:45 now. We've had these for several minutes already, so we've started early today. But
Cheers, guys.
cheers to you. Thank you for having us.
Yeah,
here.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Thank
Thank
you
you
for
for
being
coming.
on with us. This is my third day in a row here. Wait.
It's my
Yes, I
second.
know.
I will take a day off tomorrow. Luckily, you guys are closed tomorrow, so you don't have to see me.
You start busting glasses, I might pay you at this point.
You're here enough. Get some work out of you.
Yeah. We'll work for burgers.
Yeah. Well, our buddy Michael Stokes comes in and he was like, he's got a Stoke House at the Stoke. And I think maybe it was Jason, said, "Why are you sitting around all the time? Your name's on the building. Get to work."
Yeah.
He didn't get out of the chair.
So, by the way, what is it that we're drinking from Stoke House today?
We're sipping on the original this morning. As a professional, if you start drinking before 10 o'clock, you want to go under 5% ABV.
Yeah.
No, it's our house lager, all Tennessee barley, Tennessee corn, and then we use some jasmine rice that's grown over in Arkansas, so it's like very southern. One thing I like about it is that Tennessee barley comes to us so fresh because we get it from Riverbend. Riverbend does a lot of small batch malting of Tennessee. Well, they do all southern grain, but we focus specifically on the Tennessee only stuff. That and the malted corn, they come so fresh. So you get this nice fresh, like grassy character, and then that corn comes through like it's very strong. The corn character it takes a very little bit to get that like nice kind of like nutty corn character in it, and then that jasmine rice, slight floralness, dries it out a little bit, makes it a little smoother, crisper.
One of our conversations in the past few weeks when I was talking to you, you've tweaked this recipe a little bit from the first time you made it.
Yeah, sometimes you find that you need to, polish some things here and there. On the subject of that Tennessee corn, it comes through so strong. Decided to dial it back because we wanted some of the subtleties of that jasmine rice to come through and pop up a little bit more. So, slowly dial stuff back. You don't want to do anything too extreme one way or another. Just like when you're cooking or baking or something, you try it. You're like, okay, this is good, but I wanted it to be more like this. How do I get to that point? And so, made a couple tweaks and it turned out exactly where we wanted it to be.
Where you were going for. Has anyone been able to tell the difference, just like your customers or anything? Like say, hey, did you do anything different?
I mean, they haven't said anything.
Yeah. But you would know as the brewer, like you dial it exactly where you want it to. But somebody who had one and maybe had the one right after it might not even be able to tell the difference.
Yeah, that's true. And then there's all the QA QC that goes along with it. So, like me, Jason, and Mike, I try to make sure that we all get to taste stuff as it's finishing up or if it's getting to the point where it's like we're going to move it to carbonate and then keg off, I make sure everyone tastes it. Try to do it blind. Everyone's always like, "What's this?" And my canned response is, "It's beer. Drink it and tell me what you think. Tell me what you taste." So we make sure that so we're going to notice it because we're trying it all along the way, so we can see where it starts, where it develops, where it goes, and how it comes out in the finish. But it's good to have more than just one palate doing that.
Yeah, and then when you're tasting like that, you're getting it at different levels or different stages of the beer, and it's coming along the way.
Yeah, beer like green beer is beer that's not ready to package and be sold yet, but green beer is actually pretty fucking gross.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
you're like, oh, definitely not ready yet.
Yeah. Sometimes you just smell it and you're like, you know what? I know exactly where that. I'm not even tasting that yet. It smells like it should.
Yeah.
Right.
And that's usually why like I won't, let people like I'll pull sometime like friends come by or I've got something I'm excited about, like I'll take some samples off the fermenter, but only for people to try, but only when it's done. It's like my first career was in photography and stuff, and I started in that when it was still film. And so in studio photography you had these big 4x5 cameras, and they had a special back for them that would do a Polaroid, so you could do a test of whatever you're shooting in the studio and make sure everything, like there weren't spots on something, or you can see what like a preview of what the image is going to look like. But it's a Polaroid, and you do it really quickly, and you do it more for the sake of layout than anything, and exposure than anything else. And they were always telling us, they're like, the one thing you don't do, like when you have a client, you don't give them the Polaroid, because then they'll take it, they'll want it, they'll want that, and it's lower quality and it's not as good. So don't ever do that. So that's kind of the same thing with like green beer. Like if I'm going to pull beer off a tank for someone to try, it's like I need to know that it's finished and ready, or just about to be. Sometimes with lagers, while they're lagering, they might get like a little sulfur character for a minute, and as long as it's not too bad, I'll be like, yeah, that sulfur will be out of there, but try this, but for the most part, yeah, you don't want, because that's what you're gonna remember something that tastes like shit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And beer that's fermenting does not generally taste great.
And can a day or two make a difference? I'm sure it can, right?
Well, yeah.
Maybe just be like, I just need another day or two on this thing for it to be exactly where I want it.
Yeah, I find that a lot, especially doing like VDK tests, like testing for diacetyl precursor. We use a lot of English yeast, which creates a lot of diacetyl, and diacetyl is not I'm very sensitive to it, and it's just kind of gross.
Yeah.
So generally what we'll do, we use an enzyme called ALDC during fermentation that's supposed to help keep diacetyl precursors low. Like diacetyl is something like that's something that yeast naturally creates. But if you give it long enough, it'll reabsorb it, and it kind of helps it go into that hibernation stage. It's almost like food for it. But if you rush things too much, you can start getting a change. Or when you dry hop, you might have a little re-fermentation, and then some diacetyl gets created. That's like what hop creep. If you've ever heard the term hop creep, a lot of that is like re-fermentation, and sometimes you get that diacetyl creation. So things like ALDC help us keep those levels low, but you always want to make sure the beer is done, and that the yeast is done doing what it's doing. So sometimes like a VDK test is we just I take a sample off the fermenter, heat it up for about 30, 45 minutes, or when I remember to take it out of the bucket of water. Yeah, we heat it up with like 170, 180 degree water for a while, and then let it cool down, and then you'll be able to smell or taste the diacetyl if the precursor is there. But that's one thing too, that you'll be like, you can, if it's really strong, it's like, okay, try it again in a couple of days. And then you'll actually notice it like dropping, the levels of it dropping. And that's because the yeast is doing what it's supposed to do, which is reabsorbing all those precursors.
Okay. Well, that's cool. Yeah. So it can happen that quickly.
Yeah. And then same thing with like lagers. A lot of lager yeast will create like a little bit of a sulfur character. Some of that passes over in certain styles, it's appropriate, and some of it may pass over into the packaged beer. But generally, if you just let it sit cold for a little bit longer, it'll clear up. So sometimes it's 1 day, 2 days. It depends on when you start noticing it. And it's patience is a virtue in making quality beer.
How many years now, going back? Obviously, this place is new, but from what you do as a brewer, brewing beer, how many years is that in for you now?
I think I'm at like 11, maybe 11 and a half.
Yeah.
I don't know. Like I said, time doesn't exist. And I was doing like, I also started in like retail beer sales. I've been kind of, ancillary in the beer industry for a while. And then that doesn't include like all the home brewing, all those years that I did that. But I try not to count the home brewing part, because it's like,
yeah,
you learn the science, but that's about it. Like it's not the same as running a brewery.
No, but it gave you your star, right? It gave you, or at least maybe even maybe some of that creativity and some of that, just figuring stuff out.
Yeah, it's a great foundation, especially about recipe development, how certain ingredients work, processes, learning good cleaning and sanitation. No matter what, as long as you're doing good cleaning and sanitation, like your beer is probably going to be pretty all right. So it does give you a foundation, but then you can't expect professional brewing to be like home brewing, because home brewing's a hobby,
right?
And not that it can't be stressful and backbreaking, but it's at a different level when the stake, you raise the stakes are higher.
Yeah. If nobody tastes it, if you make a bad beer at home,
Yeah.
You're like, okay, well, I'll just dump it, or I'll drink it myself.
Dumping 5 gallons is easier than, I mean, eh, every brewery has had to dump beer. There's no shame in it. Good
Right.
brewers dump bad beer,
Sure.
but it's a lot easier to take dumping 5 gallons of beer than it is dumping like 80 barrels.
You see it disappear, and you're like, oh my God, all that time and effort and money, obviously.
Yeah. Well, I mean, in the past, it's been other people's money in the past. It's now my money,
Right, right.
But,
Yeah.
but yeah, there's times where, I mean, it's discouraging, but then you just got to, you
Sure.
just got to move on from it.
Yeah, I mean, you mentioned it's like you're cooking at home, right? We've all we've all had food we've made, and then you go, you know what? Yeah, this isn't. I'm not feeling this today. What I've made, and it just happens. So
or like you accidentally add too much salt or
or something. Yeah.
Can a bad beer, and this is probably a wide open question, can a bad beer be turned into something else? And I say bad, like not spoiled, but maybe just not what you were going for.
Well, I guess that's a bad beer wouldn't be necessarily not what you're going for. I know many of us have missed the mark on, we brew a beer and we missed the mark on what we were going for, but we're like, well, it's not really that, but it is more of this style. And as long as it's, no off flavors, it's drinking good and you're happy and you know that you're putting something of decent quality out there. I mean, we've all done that. And so in that sense, you just kind of rebrand it.
Yeah.
Right.
For something else.
Yeah. For the most part though, if something is bad, if it, excuse me, if there's like off flavors in it, or if it just, the balance is off in a way that's not palatable, I mean, you can try blending it down or throwing some bugs in it to maybe make it sour beer. But in general, it's just easy. It's just start over. Because there's no guarantee that any of those solutions are going to solve it. And if you, then at that point, you've wasted time, more money.
Yeah.
It's just easier to say, well, okay, what went wrong? Don't do that again.
Yeah.
And let's, rebrew it or move on or whatever it is.
Yeah.
It's still got to be heartbreaking though, just to see it go down the drain.
Yeah. I mean, I remember the first time I had to, my first job brewing out here was with Black Abbey. And I remember the first time I had to, like, something went wrong and we had to dump like 40 barrels of beer down the drain. And I was like, man, that sucks. But then there's a point where you're just like, it's kind of part of it.
Yeah. What are you gonna do?
Yeah. There's no point in getting hung up on breakups, like,
Right.
That's that you learn from that.
Yeah.
Don't make that mistake again. We know what it is. You probably pinpoint what it is, I would imagine. Oh, we know what's wrong here.
Well, we do our best, generally it's, working backwards, you check, if it's, generally it's going to be something probably in the fermenter or in the heat exchange, or in your hoses or something like that.
Yeah.
So you just kind of work backwards, or it could be if you're repitching yeast, but that's why we track. So anytime we repitch yeast, on our recipe sheet, we track the generation and what batch it came off of, so we can work backwards. So if there's, if there's some weird off flavor in something, it's like, okay, well, what beer did this yeast come off of? Let's go try that beer. Are we getting in this? Okay, no, it's not the yeast. Yes, it's probably the yeast. Or is it in the same fermenter as what was the last batch in this fermenter? Do we still have some of that? Try that. So is there a gasket we need to replace? Is something loose and like, is it not fully closed off or whatever it is?
Yeah.
But mostly it would end up being the heat exchanger.
Yeah. That's awesome.
Those things are, they take a lot to clean properly, and generally if a brewery has an issue, that's probably the first place, because there's just so many little nooks and crannies where things can get stuck and grow, especially if you're not doing proper cleaning on them.
Right.
Yeah, man. Before we ask you any more questions, we have something for you.
Oh yeah.
And I want you to open it here.
Oh my God, did you get me a medal?
Yeah.
Did you actually do that?
That's coming. Well, not quite. Okay, so this is a running theme now.
All right, guys.
So I did kind of run out. I did start. Yes. So there's the lips.
I love it.
So I guess the backstory is you guys had when Foamies were here, that they saw that or something, and then it got broken afterwards.
Yeah. So we had someone had brought. I think it was Mike or his wife had brought an ashtray of these that looked exactly like this.
Yeah.
And Mitch from Foamy Heads thought it was particularly like it was a funny thing. And there was one day that it got, and he mentioned it, how funny it was and how much he loved it. I was like, yeah, it's pretty cool. It's wild and kind of gross, but kind of like gross in a cool way. And then like maybe a week later it got broken. And the next time he was here, he was like, what happened to the ashtray? And I was like, oh, well, it got knocked off the AC units back there or something. And it broke. And then the next time he was here, I wasn't here, but he brought a new one.
Yep.
And then like a week after he brought a new one, one of us, Jason or Mike was out there with the leaf blower because all the leaves and stuff, it was during, when that tree was shedding, basically getting all the leaves off the patio. And he like went behind that little table area we have back there.
Yeah.
And this was sitting on it, and it was just enough of wind from the leaf blower that it just right off
man.
Off it goes.
Yeah.
And you told me that story because when I knew they had gotten you the one, and when I came in next time, I was like, "Oh, where's the thing?" And and you told me that story.
Yeah.
So I told them, and I go, "Okay, well, we got to get another." So we're trying to keep the steam going for it.
That's right.
Because again, it's such a cool thing, and Mitch loved it so much. So
yeah,
we ran up to those.
It's part. It is now ingrained in the Stoke Haus lore.
Yeah, folklore.
If you're without one, it won't be for very long. Once we know that if it breaks again, we'll just go get another one.
Yeah, I'll just text you guys next time whenever this breaks. I guess at this point we got to see how long we have to have like a ranking. So that one that Mitch brought probably lasted. I think that only lasted a week, maybe a half. So hopefully this one will last longer. But I don't know if we want to track the one that breaks fastest or the one that doesn't. So,
right.
I mean, maybe we can do both.
One day we'll be like, it still exists? Day 84.
Yeah, I'll just carve it like an old prison cell. I'll just carve it on the brick in the outside. There you go. Number of days.
There you go.
Well, something else. That's not the only thing you're getting today. This is the only physical thing that we brought. However, you won a couple of awards with us.
Yeah, you were telling me.
Yeah. So,
and please tell everyone how great I am.
Okay. So we do an annual Papa Awards, Free Underground Podcast Awards, and I put the post out just this morning before I came in here today. You guys won the Papa for the best new brewery 2025.
Thank you.
From the prestigious.
Was there another brewery that opened in 2025 though? I guess would be my question.
Still the best one. They wouldn't have stood a chance anyway.
That's right.
They had no shot. But also on top of that, we gave out categories or awards for like different categories.
Mm-hmm.
You won for American Lager, favorite American Lager for the original that we're drinking right now.
Yep.
Absolutely love it. So cheers to that. And you won a Buppa for your Stoke Fest as favorite Oktoberfest /Marzen/Fest beer. So you won for that too. So you walked away with 3 Buppas.
Look at that.
Now we don't have a physical thing yet, but we're
Just so this is why I was like, did you actually get me a medal? Because he was telling me about these yesterday, and I was like,
medals.
I was like, yeah. So I want medals.
I know we got to get.
We got to get you a medal. I
was gonna do at least like a printout because we have a design for it, like virtual, and I was gonna try to print it up. I didn't have access to a color printer yesterday, but we'll revisit that.
Yeah,
we'll get something physical. You can
it's
hang
all
up
good.
As, brewery of the year.
This will suffice.
So that's part. It's all built in there.
Well, even when we did our, we go to new breweries too. Not just in Nashville, but throughout the country. Well, when I say country, I mean we went to some this year. I mean, he was in Germany, he was in Denver, we were up in Ohio and other places as well. I was across Tennessee, and we did our top 10 list of new breweries that we went to this year, or in 2025, I should say. I went to about 25 new breweries. How many did you go to?
35, 37.
And Stoke Haus was definitely in my top 10. I think you guys like number 2.
Who's number 1? I'm going to go find him and do a collab beer with him.
Do it with Great Lakes because, we're trying to bring Great Lakes beer to Tennessee.
Oh, man, that would be a dream. Great Lakes was, as somebody who spent a lot of time originally from Ohio, as we've talked about, my college years up in Northeastern Ohio, Great Lakes always will hold a special place in my heart.
And they're still doing great things.
Anytime I'm anywhere that sells Great Lakes beer, I get it every time.
Yeah, one of these.
Well, maybe you could help us then. Maybe you could do a collab with Great Lakes and help us get Great Lakes beer into Tennessee. We've been trying for that for a while.
Yeah. Well, I mean, there's a lot that goes into exporting to different states.
Yeah.
Tennessee doesn't necessarily have favorable laws.
I
mean, that's why for a while we didn't get a lot of beer here, is because the laws were anything over 6.3 was considered liquor and was, taxed and treated like liquor. So a lot of breweries were like, it's not worth all the trouble to send things there, because a lot of portfolios had a lot of things, especially back then when it was a race for ABVs and IBUs. They were like, well, it's not worth it. So, but once that law got changed, that's when a lot of other breweries started. You started seeing, like that's I think when like Bell's started coming here, and a lot of Michigan breweries actually started selling stuff here. That was back in my retail days. I'm just blanking on names because I'm terrible.
That's okay.
Probably because I was drinking all those beers. But,
Yeah.
but yeah, I don't know what Great Lakes, like what their distribution model looks like necessarily. But I mean, right now you're probably not seeing a lot of breweries expanding into new markets anyway. It's tough, and a lot of people are not ramping up production. They're either maintaining or slimming down a little bit.
Yeah, because even if you expand to another state and you're still growing, but you've got to be able to feed the ones you're already, right?
Yep.
You can't piss them off, and you got to like, okay, can we add the volume we need to on top of what we're already doing, kind of thing.
Yeah, exactly. And then you run into the problem of a lot of people are like, well, why do I want to buy this beer when there's plenty of breweries?
Yeah.
I can go around the corner or go to the store and I know a brewery that's, around here that I like, or, people would just, and maybe it's not even a local brewery, but, we all have our normal things that we buy, right? Whether it's food, beer, wine, whatever. And it's just having stuff sit on a shelf in a grocery store.
Yeah.
Doesn't necessarily advertise like, oh, you should try this beer this time. Not everyone is always super adventurous, and honestly, like, my rule is drink what you like. So if you know what you like and that's what you want to buy, like, go buy that. We don't have to worry about that so much because we're not fighting for shelf space. Like we're not looking at a distribution model necessarily. We always talked about wanting to make a really cool spot for East Nashville and just Nashville in general. But specifically this area, because this is where Mike and I would hang out, in this, few block radius. I've gotten Ubers home from No Quarter plenty of times, I love No Quarter, but that place can be a black hole. But so that was the main goal. And it just happens that
it's all right.
I think Jason just challenged you guys.
I did.
Yeah, we're gonna play some Mario.
He just challenged you to a race.
We've got a Mario break here.
That is funny. That is funny.
But yeah, so we don't. I mean, there's a couple bars and stuff that we've been like selling some beer to, and I'm gonna try to probably sell some beer to some more bars and things like that, just because. Mostly because I need kegs to empty so I can keg off more stuff.
Yeah.
But it's a hard distribution as a new brewery is a really hard game right now.
Yeah.
And that's not what we're seeing. A lot of the panic of, oh, beer's doing terrible is because a lot of the statistics are coming from major distribution breweries like your Sam Adams, your Sierra Nevadas and stuff. And they're seeing shipments being down because people are drinking less. People are spending less money on, things like alcohol, or just not a lot of people have a lot of money to spend, on extra things anyway. So that's where a lot of that comes. But we're seeing steadiness and growth in like your regional breweries with established footprints already. So, your Blackstones, Black Abbeys, Tennessee Brew Works, those kind of places. Not that they're not, I'm sure they've got rough waters that they're navigating too, but those places are generally doing okay. And then places like this, like Broadcast, the taproom focused, like get people in the door.
Yeah.
That like your local watering hole that happens to be a brewery.
Yeah.
That's kind of where we've been seeing at least some growth or steadiness in the market. Not that it's been great, like alcohol is just down in general. And it makes sense for a lot of reasons. But things swing, the pendulum swings back.
Well, and now we're in a particular month that sucks for breweries as a whole, right? January. And, a lot of people like to do dry January. I don't understand those people, but I get it. I mean, I don't get it, actually. But that's another thing you got to kind of face, right? Just people going through dry January anyway.
Yeah. Dry January, it definitely, I mean, well, most restaurants see a drop off in business after Thanksgiving anyway. Kind of that like Thanksgiving to February, or now Jason's trying to save you guys.
I mean, when you start drinking beer at 9:30 in the morning, you probably need to.
Yeah. He's like, start driving Mario Kart now that you've been drinking.
We love
Then
Jason.
we're going to church to tell you how bad that was.
Amen. We love Jason. We love Jason.
Quite the experience here in the tap room. You got all the gimmicks covered.
But
Well,
needless to say, dry January is not dry here at Stoke House.
no, it's not. And I mean, yeah, like people buy less alcohol in January. A lot of that is, everyone has been all the holidays, all the, people probably, do a lot of drinking over Christmas and New Year's and stuff. You spend a lot of money during the holidays. I know, Christmas can be expensive. And for me, it always sneaks up on me, and I'm like,
Oh, yeah.
I'm like, oh shit, like,
Yeah.
I gotta at least get stuff for the niece and nephew. Like that, as long as I get stuff for the niece and nephew, I'm fine. But it's you got to buy gifts, ship them, traveling to
Yep.
meet up, go to friends and families parties and things like that. So generally, most restaurants see a drop after Thanksgiving. And people are spending less money on things like alcohol and stuff because they've got to save money for taking their vacations at the end of the year, going to see family, all those things. And then dry January comes around the corner after New Year's. But luckily we have a pretty ingrained NA program here as well. So outside of all the beer, we do those handmade sodas that I'm sure you've seen.
Yep.
Jason Mixon up, probably talk to him about them. So like I make a really mean sparkling mineral water, and so we use that's the bubbles, and then we have all these syrups and juices. It's almost like making a cocktail, but we have syrup. It's like somewhere between making a cocktail and like an old timey soda jerk.
Yeah.
So, and they're not like, it's not a soda like, Coke or Sprite or something where there's like a ton of sugar in it or whatever, but they are really, really good. They're very tasty. We even do like a sparkling lemonade. Jason's working on a couple new ones that he has coming out for dry January as well. We're doing $1 off all of those for the whole month just to encourage people like, hey, like, yeah, we're a brewery, but if you're not drinking, like, we got you covered. We have a hop water on tap. We have a couple guest cans of NA beer. Maypop, of course, the Maypop guys. We all love the Maypop guys, and they make a really good product. So we make sure that and then we've got like Coke, Diet Coke, Sprite, all those.
But those are really also alternative choices for people that we always talk about beer changes, the beer community changes, but you're trying to get more people in here and appeal to everybody, right? Not just the beer drinker sometimes.
Yeah, well, we want to be inclusive. We know not everybody drinks beer.
Yeah.
Not everybody drinks beer. But we still have a lot to offer people outside of just the beer side of things. The beer side is a big part of the business, obviously. Brewing and Stoke Haus Brewing and barbecue. But the food, we have food. We've got a great food program, and we want people to understand that like, if they don't drink or if they don't drink beer, like we've got them covered. And
well, you got the food.
They can come in here and still enjoy the food and enjoy a Stoke Haus experience that outside of it being a brewery.
There are lots of ways you just mentioned that you can still support a brewery, even if you're doing dry January. So do that. Go out with your friends, if they're going to drink beer. Still go with them. Get the food. Get something else. It's an alternative. You can still support your local.
Yeah, most breweries are going to have an NA option for you, at least one, if not multiple. Some places, I mean, we're working on our liquor license, so we can provide cocktails as well.
Sure.
So some places will have cocktails if you don't drink beer. Every place is. Can't think of a brewery. I think almost every brewery in town sells Maypop. The local soda water company, which they make really great stuff. And I don't just say that because Keaton and Maddie are friends and I love them a ton, but they make a high quality product, and it's got bubbles and it's got flavor. I mean, their hop water is super refreshing. And if you're trying to cut back on beer, it's a really great replacement for something like that. Most breweries now are making their own hop waters too, because we all realize we're like, why are we buying that? Like, we've got all the ingredients for this.
Right. It's probably cheap and quick to make too, right?
And
turn around pretty quickly.
Yeah. It's definitely, like at least a day. I like to, I basically have this half barrel keg that has a giant tri-clamp attachment on the top of it for mixing things or, making like, it's not like a normal keg where you need a tap for it. Like I can just take the thing off. So I can just dry hop it with whole hops and some hot bags overnight. We use the mineral water as the base for it. So I add all the minerals and stuff. And then we use a hop extract that gives it like a very lemon lime kind of character to it as well. So hop extract, normal, regular whole hops. The one we have on right now is the hop extract and then cashmere. I picked up some whole hops from, different, like I think I've got some citrus, some Eldorado. So play around with those a little bit. So yeah, I think most breweries are going to have a way, if you're not drinking or if you want to support a local business, they're going to have a way where you can have an experience. You can still have the experience of what the brewery wants you to have for coming in, and you can have that experience without having to drink alcohol.
Yep. Let's go ahead and get into the food. You mentioned food.
Yeah,
You can
buddy.
come here just for the food, people. Like, it's not a sidebar. Like, you could come here just for the food. It's that damn good.
Well, and we had, she saw us yesterday. We were in
Yeah.
here with our friends from Louisville, Tom and Brad. They call themselves the Hill Tappers. Shout out to them. And you know, they were coming down here, and we kept telling them, we have to take you here. We have to take you here. And they were really, really, really excited, not just about getting the beer, but also the food.
Yep.
And Mike, I know Mike Morbitzer, who is your partner, who is out in the food truck right now. Maybe we'll get him, wrangle him in. But can you talk about that? Because I'm really curious, when you all started the concept of this place, was that part of the original plan to do that kind of food?
Absolutely.
And describe what the food is.
Yeah, it was food was absolutely going to be the thing, and Mike was going to be the one running the food program. I'm sure 100,000 people have heard me say this before, but one of the best parts about, I've known Mike for many, many years, even before we worked together at Tenfold. And one of the best parts about being friends with Mike is at some point he's going to feed you. His passion and his ability for culinary is bar none. Especially for someone who is usually just was for the longest time just doing it as a hobby, or he was the one cooking for the wife and kids. And
Yep.
I mean, he loves food. He loves knowing how to make it, and he has a steel trap of a mind for everything that goes into making anything he wants to make. I thought I knew some shit about cooking until I would talk to Mike, and then I'd be like, man, I know you're trying to help, but I just feel dumb. I remember one time, I like baking, making bread, and I had my girlfriend had given me a sourdough starter, and it was the first time I was like keeping up on keeping it alive and stuff, and I was like trying different sourdough recipes and trying to like dial it in for like my kitchen or whatever. And I was talking to Mike about it. It was when we were working at Tenfold. I was talking to Mike about it. He was like, "Oh, I've got a really good sourdough recipe. I'll send it to you." And I was like, "Okay." And he sent it to me, and it was like 6 pages long, and I was just like,
Wow.
this is I don't have time to take all these steps. I was like, maybe I'm not making sourdough right. But it was just like so specific and involved and so detail oriented. So when we started talking about it, it was always like, yeah, I would run the beer side of things. He would run the food side of things. And the other thing about being Mike's friend is when he feeds you, a lot of times it's going to be barbecue. He's a Texas boy. And honestly, that offset smoker that we have out there was the one at his house. It was just the one at his house.
Sure.
Like when he wanted to make brisket or ribs or
Okay.
whatever. So we brought that over here. So we knew it was going to be barbecue because, one, we were surprised that there was not a brewery with barbecue, with a dedicated barbecue program. Like, you'll get places with chicken wings, or they might have one of those like gas assisted smokers that give that like kind of propane-y kind of flavor to everything. But we were like, yep, like Mike's real passion is especially the barbecue. And so we're like, yep, that'll be cool. It'll set us apart. It's not a brewery burger place, brewery pizza place, brewery whatever. Also, opening a brewery pizza place right down the street from Smith & Lens is just a fool's errand. They've got that market locked down on Main Street.
Yeah.
And so the barbecue was always the thing. Mike's daughter is a vegetarian, and so he always wanted to have a vegetarian option. So we always have like at least one plant-based option as far as like an entree goes. And then things, sides like the coleslaw. We do vegan mac and cheese as well. We do a regular mac and cheese and vegan mac and cheese, but the coleslaw, we have fried plantains right now. Like we've got options for people that want to come out and eat something that's really good and made really well, but don't necessarily eat meat. So like it's kind of like barbecue for everyone in some ways. So yeah, it was always part of the plan. These days, you can't just be a brewery tap room. You got to be a brewery and restaurant, brewery and whatever. And it's what. So I had some friends. I'm gonna make a statement, and it's gonna sound worse than I mean it. But in a lot of ways, like, people just don't kind of care about beer anymore. There's a flood of breweries. There's exhaustion. There's a lot of different drink options out there. Again, that pendulum swings in different ways. So if we wanted to get people excited about the spot, we knew that we were going to have a really good dedicated food program. And then, doing things like our brisket's amazing. The ribs are incredible. The pulled pork is amazing. Like, everything is really good. And then we were like the first place around here to start doing smoked burgers. And now we've seen some other, I'm not saying it's because of us, but we've seen some other places around in East pop up starting to do smoked burgers. And we do them off of the trimmings from the brisket too. So it's, like use the whole parts, all the parts of the animal. So you get that nice big, it's half pound as well. Like most burgers are a quarter pound.
Yeah.
Nice big half pound burger. It's brisket meat. It's
massive.
Smoked. Like if you, I guarantee most people haven't ever seen a smoke ring inside of a burger when you cut it in half, and like you get that smoke ring in there. And I knew when we were talking about this and talking about Mike doing food, I knew I could trust him to do it because I had seen how creative he could be with food and how much what the amount of enjoyment he gets out of like making something and making it up to his standard, So yeah, it was always part of the plan. Again, it's also part of the plan to make a rad spot. Like we just want to make a really cool spot.
Yeah.
So you got to have food, you got to have booze, you got to have NA options, you got to have a cool, comfortable place, and you have to have an N64 with Mario Party and Mario Kart.
Yeah.
And Joel Osteen too. I don't know if that's who that was, but
well, and it's
TV.
two observations. So when we came in yesterday, there was a group of us. We're sitting down at the corner there, and we were talking about. We all got the barbecue. We all got the mac and cheese and things like that. And I said this. I said you can name, and obviously Nashville, and that's one of the things that when you all first started putting out information about this place, I'm like, that's so Nashville. Nashville's known for great brisket and barbecue and all that, right? In the South. And there are, maybe or
Are
maybe
they?
not. I don't know. Well, it has a reputation, whether or not you want to debate that. But I said yesterday, when you look at that, like the Southern barbecue, I said, I think it's as good, as not better than any place you could name in the Nashville area.
Yeah, I think.
Should we say hey Mike to Mike real
Hey,
quick?
Mike.
I know he's really busy,
Mike's
but
busy.
Hey Mike.
He's preparing that delicious food we were just talking about.
We're bragging about you, Mike.
So he's so pretty. You guys did see the blonde highlights though, right?
We did.
No, I think as far as I guess that is a great debate around here, whether Nashville is known for or has great barbecue or just good barbecue or just mediocre. I mean, I've had some good barbecue in Nashville. I've had some terrible barbecue in Nashville. I think in Tennessee, Memphis is really got the lockdown on the barbecue thing, which our ribs are Memphis style, dry rub. But there weren't a lot of places doing it right and doing it really, really well. There's a good handful of places that are, nailing it, but a lot of places that do barbecue, you go there and you're like, well, I guess, yeah, sure. But really, I don't know. And not to, eat what you like, drink what you like, all of that. But for us, we wanted something to be a step above what a lot of the places are serving and how a lot of places are doing it. So we're not like spending a couple of days smoking a bunch of stuff and then holding it and then serving it throughout the week. It's every day. Every day the smoker is going for the next day's food. And that's one of the reasons that we have things until we're sold out, because we only make so much.
Yeah.
And then everything's fresh,
Yep.
Get it on the smoker, let it go for as long as it needs till it's done, wrap it, sit in the warming cabinet because you want that meat to rest for, overnight, but you don't want it to rest too long. We're not throwing it in the fridge, pulling it back out. Once you like take something like a pork butt, like once you start cutting into a pork butt, like it's gonna not be as good, So if you have half a pork butt left and you throw it in the fridge and serve it the next day, there's gonna be a noticeable drop in like the quality and the freshness of it. And top, like high quality is one thing that Mike and I always talked about. We didn't want to take shortcuts. We didn't want to, we'll make more money if we do it like this. And then it suffers the quality of either product, the food or the beer. And so that's always been kind of one of our main goals, in this and focuses is like, sometimes you got to take a hit. Like sometimes like we were talking about dumping beer earlier. Like beer is bad, it's got to go. You can't think about like, well, that's so much money down the drain. Or if we don't sell out of something and it's like, okay, well, we didn't sell out of it. Like we can't just keep serving this tomorrow because it's not going to be as good.
There is that subject of pairing the beer with food.
Yep.
Yeah. Right. Where I'm going with this. So, if I look up on the board right now and I say, look, it's a Baltic Porter, and you go, what food pairing goes well with a Baltic Porter?
I mean, honestly, any like like fatty meat, like a beer like that that's like roasty and a little bit sweet, and higher in alcohol is going to go well with any kind of like fatty meats. And luckily we're a barbecue joint.
Yeah.
But really like it shines, like if you have it with the brisket or the brisket burger, I think that's where it like really, really shines. One of my favorite pairings is classic, our pub beer. If you do classic with the ribs, classic with the ribs is like probably my like number one. If people are like, oh, like what food does this beer go with, or what beer goes with ribs, it's like classic 100% every time. And then, I mean, we're lucky, like for the most part, and that's the thing, for the most part, like beer and food generally are going to pair really well together, especially when you have fattier foods or things, like, so when you have like burgers or pizzas or whatever, like you've got, like with the pizza, it's all like the cheese and stuff. So you've got that, like that fatty cheese on the pizza. And then the alcohol carbonation helps cut through some of that fattiness. And then you have very similar, take burgers, for example, like the, when you're got a burger on a grill, the Maillard reactions that are happening when you're like browning meat or anything like that. It's the same reactions that are happening when you're when the maltsters are roasting like darker malts that give a little bit of sweetness, a little bit more biscuity character. So there's similar science going on. So we're really lucky in the sense that a lot of that science pairs up together really well.
Yeah.
But I do have preferred like if you really want a good experience, like these are the things that go together. And I like to have that. And that's the beers that I brew are brewed partially to pair well with food. That's one of the main goals.
Awesome.
You smoke some of your grains too for some of your beers, considering you got the smoker right outside.
Yeah. We smoke them on the smoker, not in a pipe. Yeah. So we do anytime we do a smoke beer, which our signature, our year-round dark English ale, has a soft tan and some smoked malt in it. So yeah, we smoke it. It's Tennessee barley smoked on Tennessee hickory.
Nice.
It's a cold smoke. And other than that, that's all I know.
But it's so cool because you can.
I leave that up to Mike. Like the first time he did it, and he like gave me half a bag just because it was like, well, let's start with half a bag and see how it does. He brought it to me, and I was like smelling it, tasting it, and I was like, was this your first time doing that? And he was like, yeah, and I was like, well, whatever you did, I think it worked.
Just keep doing that.
Yeah,
Awesome.
just keep doing that. So, and it's something that we plan on, like some collabs in the future, being able to be like, well, if we want to make a smoked version of this beer, we can smoke all the malt. And it's just it adds a little extra. It's a little different than like buying smoked malt from as a place like one of our big suppliers. Like so, like Environment smoked malt is like very, very smoky, and I love it, and it's great. But this is different, where you get that smoke character, but it's like you can almost get like a little bit of that tinge of the wood in it too, and it just adds a little bit extra of like a unique twist on the beer.
And it's all done in house. I mean, you literally it's just right over there.
Yeah.
I mean, you just walk it in here and you put it in the beer. I mean, that's so cool.
Yeah.
You got that access to it anytime you want to.
Yeah, and we've gotten a lot of mileage with the pun on in-house or house-made.
One of the cool things that Scott and I, a bunch of us had talked about when you all open, and at the time we're recording this, you've been open about 5 months now, I think. About
that 5
time.
months. What is it? Yeah, we're about I guess our first soft open was on August 7th.
Yeah. So it just seemed like you were prepared from the beginning.
Yeah.
Like you hit the ground running.
Yeah.
I mean, there's you had a couple of beer options. Those have grown since that time. You have beer in the cooler already for people, the merch. I mean, talk about that, because the detail and the planning on that couldn't have been easy, right? I mean, you're checking off a lot of lists to make sure day one you're ready to go.
Yeah. Well, luckily, like having been in the industry for as long as I have, and especially like having the experience of running a brewery, like for running Tenfold, I knew you kind of have those parameters, like about how long you need, when you need to start brewing, what stuff you need here, like the order of operations, like, well, I got to get stuff into tanks, and I have to have clean kegs, but I have to have at least one tank open to, be a bright tank, and I have to have one tank open to be a cold liquor tank or whatever. Like that kind of stuff like my mind works well for those kind of finding those kind of solutions. So it wasn't, I mean, it's always going to be challenging. I'm not trying to say it was easy, but I definitely had a really good foundation in being able to, for beer and stuff, be able to plan for things like that. I mean, we haven't had, I mean, honestly, the first 2 beers I brewed, like I was kind of down the system in. First 2 beers I brewed were so out of spec that I was like, well, instead of like trying to brand them as something else, I'm just going to dump them, and I know where I need to make changes to keep these in spec. Like I ended up just getting like better efficiency on my mash than I expected to, and so everything was just out of balance. And it wasn't that it was bad, but you got to look at your cooperage, like how many kegs do you have, how much time do you have, is it worth it? Because we wanted to come out basically with our 5-year round beers, or we came out with 4 of them because the original was still lager in.
Yep.
You can't rush that process, but we hit the ground with our 4-year round beers. I had a buddy of mine that he referred to it as that we came out swinging, which I think is I appreciate that, because I was really happy with the quality.
I mean, we agree with that, right? I mean, you really did. You came out swinging, man.
Yeah.
You really did.
And then we had the food to back us up. And we hit the ground running. It took a while. We were doing, we were building out here because there were some changes we were making to. I mean, we didn't have to build the entire brewery because we'd been crazy known before, and that was part of the deal, was getting the brew house and a certain number of fermenters. But dealing with codes, permitting, all that stuff, while still working full time and coming in here and making some changes, rebuilding the bar, taking out the cooler, getting that, or they had a closet. So taking out that closet and then getting that walk-in cooler over there built, all these little things, all the painting. And then, trying to coordinate with our schedules, working full time, and then being here. I mean, there's a lot of times that it'd be leave work, come straight here, be here until 9 or 10 in the night, go home and just fall asleep the second you walk in the door.
Not bad.
But we were, I had experience building a brewery from the ground up with, or being on the team that built a brewery from the ground up at Tennfold. I knew how to run a brewery. I knew, recipe development. I've been doing it for so long. And so I knew exactly where I wanted everything to be. So it's just a matter of reining in that system and knowing what my efficiency on my mash was, how much efficiency I was getting on our alpha acid extraction from hops, all that kind of thing. And even just a tank, the tank shape can even kind of change things a little bit. The physics of how everything ferments and how things fall out and how much yeast you can repitch and whatever. So it was about applying all the stuff I knew already to a different spot, basically.
Do you remember the first conversation that you and Mike had around when you started going, you know what, we're brewers for Tenfold, man, we want to open up our own place?
No, so not specifically, because that conversation happens in the back of every single brewery with every single person that works in the back of a brewery. There's always a time where you start talking about what your ideal brewery would be, what you would want to do, and how you would want to do it different, or what your focus would be, or the styles of beers that you would brew. Those are things that just naturally happen, because I think most people, especially if you've been in the industry for more than a couple years, the idea is that you would love to own a brewery or do your own thing, or at least have a program that you're in charge of. So I don't remember the first one, but we started talking about it, and the more we started talking about, originally we were talking about, we would build from the ground up, because once we got a little more serious about it, we were like, all right, what areas of town are lacking? We were looking up at the area I live in, North Madison area, and it was always just a fun thing to talk about. It's like buying a lottery ticket. The value in that is the imagination of what you would do with all the money.
Sure.
But there was a point where we started getting a little more serious about it. And then it was a couple Januaries ago when we got that blizzard that everyone was snowed in for a week. Yeah. And we were snowed in, and I just didn't really have shit to do. And so we had been texting about a few things, and I was like, maybe we start writing a business plan. And so we just set up a shared Google Drive and we found something that explained how to write a business plan. It kind of it was very long and had everything in this section goes this stuff. And then we had to figure out what some of those things meant, but we had a pretty clear idea, and we knew about, I knew exactly, I know COGS, cost of goods sold on all the beer stuff. I have really good spreadsheets for that.
Yeah. Right.
So it was easy to the numbers part for me was easier to dial in, because I'm very focused. My mind works very numbers focused. So it's just okay, so we know about, based on what prices for everything are now, we know about we're going to be spending this much of money for beer stuff. Here's cost of goods sold. Here's what we would charge it for everything. And we were always kind of eye to eye on what we wanted the vibe of whatever brewery we would ever open be. And working, I found out, Mike and I worked really, really well together. There's a particular amount of trust between us where it's I know he's doing what needs to be done. He knows I'm doing what needs to be done.
Yep.
Yeah. So a really long-winded way to answer your question.
That's
no,
okay.
no, I
We
don't.
love it's okay. You brought us into a lot that that has gotten here today.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
Was finding the location the hardest part ultimately? Like you could do all that stuff on paper, and you're like, where are we going?
Yeah. So it was kind of weird. So that was part, like, while we were writing the business plan and kind of figuring out, we were working with a friend of ours who's a graphic designer who did all of our graphic design, all the branding and stuff. She did an amazing job. Maddie, you did an amazing job. Thank you so much. So we're looking, finding commercial real estate was not something I've ever looked for before. So we were looking for commercial real estate, and I was seeing what was available up in that North Madison, like Rivergate area, and what was viable. Is it big enough? Is there enough parking? All these other things that you don't think that you need to think about, but once you start looking at all these different spots.
And that's important because if you're going to be tap room forward, that location matters.
Yeah.
People have to get there.
Yeah. And then we found this one there.
Yeah.
But there were other things too. There were certain parts of the business plan, like certain number of things and accounting things that I was trying to figure out how to have a framework for it, so I could explain how we were going to do, how we're going to do payroll and how we're going to do this and how we're going to do that. And I had no experience in that stuff. So there was a day that I called Grayson one day, and I was like, hey man, if you got time this week, I'd love to grab a couple beers with you up at Yazoo, because Yazoo's right by my house.
Yeah.
And it has a big enough patio, and we were getting serious about it, but we still weren't sure it was the right move to do. So we didn't really want, like, how the rumor mill is around here, and generally they're absolutely wrong about everything.
Oh yeah.
So we didn't want, and so Yazoo's kind of an easy place to like it's not weird that I would be there talking to Grayson, because I go there a lot. Grayson goes there, would go there once in a while too. Like, we've been there drinking beers just as friends before. So he met up with me, and I was like, I'm buying all your beers. I'm going to tell you why in a minute. And so I had these, particular questions for him about, part of it was like, how do we know we're finding, like, what are we looking for in a spot? How do I do this accounting thing? Like, what am I, like, how do you do X, Y, and Z? Because we're thinking about doing it this way, but I don't know if that's the right way to do it. So we talked for a couple hours, and he was really, really helpful. And at the end of it, when we're getting ready to leave, he was like, or, I'm trying to, sell the lease out at Crazy Gnome. So if you guys are interested in that. And I think it was like half a joke, because we were literally talking about like having a whole kitchen and everything. Yeah. And so Mike and I, like a week or so after that, Mike and I were meeting down at Barik just to go over some things. Instead of doing it over Google Drive, go over the business plan stuff, kind of like talk out certain things that we were like hoping that we were doing correctly. And I was like, oh yeah, Grayson was like, oh, you can buy out the Crazy Gnome lease and equipment, and it would only cost this much. And I was like, but then we'd have to build I don't know where we build a kitchen in there and everything. And Mike, who was at the time every Sunday working on the Brave Idiot food truck, he was like, well, I could do it out of a food truck. And I was like, well, yeah, no, I don't know. That's not really what you want to do, right? That's not like the ideal, right? Like, we were still very much in that, that fantasy of everything could be ideal, because we hadn't like pulled the trigger on anything yet. And I started thinking about it. For a couple of days, I was thinking about it, and then I was driving into work. It was a Monday or Tuesday, and the radio has been broken in my car for a couple of years, so it's just like mulling it over. Like, I'm just alone with my thoughts, which is usually a bad thing. And I was mulling it over, and I was like, well, like, I like that part of town. We wouldn't have to worry about build out, equipment acquisition. It's actually cheaper. Like, it's a kind of like a cheaper way to get in. We can use it as proof of concept if we want to start getting more funding later or grow. So I was mulling it over, and I got into work, and Mike was already there, and I was like, all right. I was like, don't hate me. He was like, what? I was like, really, you really want to do that out of a truck? You want to do a barbecue out of a truck? He's like, yeah, man, I could do it. It'd be fun. It's mostly just prep work, it's just service out of the truck. I was like, okay. I was like, so you want to start writing a second business plan where we take over Crazy Gnome instead of building from the ground up? And he was like, yeah, let's do it. And the more we looked at it, especially numbers wise, especially money wise, because we're pretty much entirely self-funded. And we've both been brewers for a long time, so we don't have a lot of money to self-fund. This is not a high dollar, a bunch of investment bankers or doctors or whatever. We don't come from families with a ton of money or anything like that. So we started looking at it, and we were like, yeah, this might make the most sense. And like I was saying earlier, this is the area of the town that we would hang out in if we were hanging out anyway. We're like, all right. Started looking at it more and more, and it made more sense. And so that's how we moved on to So to answer your question in a real long-winded way, yes and no. It wasn't easy, but until it was.
I think we've talked about this before, but for this podcast episode, I think it's worth repeating. So we remember when Crazy Gnome opened their new location, and we saw you there, and I walked in, and I'm like, "Hey, Chad," and hey, and then about 2 weeks later, the one day it was either sent to me or I saw the post, the first one, and I text Scott. I said, "That's Chad. Is that Chad?" Well, I just saw him 2 weeks ago. You're like, you were kind of a kid in the candy store at that point.
Yeah.
Ready to release the information. I mean, there were probably some people obviously close to you that knew, but it was just kind of funny to find out that way too. It's like, yeah, man, you go, guys.
Yeah. We were just really cautious again about that rumor mill.
Yeah.
The beer rumor mill around town is. I mean, I guess I come from a position where sometimes I kind of know what's going on with, one with us or with other places, or it's casual, comes up in casual conversation, but better than to like. I don't ever want to be like part of it and be like, well, actually, what's really going on? Right. But you read things or you hear people talking about things, and you can't help just sometimes just being like, man, you absolutely have it 100% wrong.
They just like it'll work itself out eventually, but they just are out there chirping, right?
Yeah. So the rumor mill, like, we're trying to avoid any rumor mill stuff, and people trying to act like they knew us or what was going on, or also like not getting a slew. Like I get so many junk emails from places trying to get me to like just advertising the most predatory of loans. Like every day it's like the same AI makes the same fucking, base email, and they just change their name in it. There's like 3 particular, formats of it. And it's just like, I know how numbers work, and you're either a liar or this is a terrible, terrible deal. So we just wanted to prevent a lot of that stuff, like, and just like do it on our terms, like announce on our terms and build hype on our terms as well.
I was kind of wondering this last night because we were like blocks away from downtown where your location is. And there's so much growth down there. We know a new dome is coming for the Titans, and that's going to probably eventually bring bigger events, maybe Super Bowl or whatever down the road. Do you ever think that big picture? You're going, we could really capitalize on people coming into town and, that kind of thing. I mean, is that something that you get excited about when you think about long term too?
Yeah. I mean, it's always, as a place that sells things to people, it's always a benefit to have more people around.
Yeah.
Especially people that are coming in from out of town and they're, want a certain kind of food. And like we're talking earlier, like Nashville barbecue doesn't always hit, depending on where you go. So having a reputation for that, being a brewery that's close to downtown, an easy drive from there, all those things are going to be beneficial for us and many of the surrounding businesses. I guess I was about to say all, but that's not true with what's going on with Break and eminent domain and all that stuff. But yeah, having an info like tourists, like I know we all are kind of like tourist season's here when it comes, but as a business, like it's tourist season it's a good bump. That's money coming into places, and if we can lure people off Broadway and show them that Nashville has more to offer than honky tonks that are named after country stars, or country pseudo stars or whatever, then it might be better. It shows people Nashville is more than just Broadway, and then people might find like, oh, if somebody comes into East and they come here and they're like, oh well, where else can I, like, I don't want to go back downtown, where else can I go? And we can be like, well, if you're parked, you can walk to Honey Tree, you can walk to Smith and Lutz, you can go down to No Quarter and play some pinball and get shwasted if you wanted to.
Right.
There's out of, like, we can, and I know other places do it for us too. We can always, it's not just us, but we can help bring that and spread that around outside of just the major like downtown Broadway area. By and we get a lot of tourists in here. We get a lot of people from out of town in here, and they'll ask us like, where else should I go? And we'll always name our favorite people's places and our favorite places to go. And a lot of them are within walking or short driving distance from here too.
So what's great about this part of town is literally, and we like to do this when we go somewhere, what else is around? Oh, there's 3 or 4, 5 breweries close by. Boom, let's hit them all.
Yeah.
And it's if you're a part of that, it's, oh, yep, we're going to make that stop. We're going to make that stop.
Yeah, especially when the weather's nice and it's easy to just kind of walk around from bar to bar.
We literally walked to Smith and Lentz when we left here yesterday.
Yeah.
It was twofold. It was close. It was a nice day. Also, we were so damn full. We had to walk it off. I said, so everyone was like, it's only a 10th of a mile. We can
Yeah, that's
walk
another thing.
Yeah,
too, by
it's
the
a
way.
block. Like you
That's
could
right.
you could hit it with a rock from here if you needed to. Yeah.
That's another thing too. Another observation: when you come here, expect to be in a food coma
Yeah.
after you have the great beer and the great food.
Yeah.
So, you know.
It costs extra to take a nap on the couch.
You
I-
may not eat the rest of the day. In fact, we
I
went
did
to
not.
a couple of breweries afterwards, and I think I may have gotten one half slice of pizza last night at the last stop, and it was like, no, I'm full.
I literally was at the point I got the half rack of ribs and I had 2 pieces left over. And I was at the cusp of, you know how that when you get really full and really miserable, one more bite would have put me there.
Yeah.
And I'd have been that way the rest of the day, just riding that line. I said, I'm just going to hold on. But it's so amazing. The food is so good. Of course, I get sides that go with it.
Yeah. Well, the cool thing, my favorite thing, I mean, we usually sell out of ribs, so I actually don't eat ribs that often. Ribs is probably usually the first thing we sell out of most days, because they are incredible. I mean, there's big, thick pork spare ribs, just dry rub on them. But if you have leftovers, if you have a couple bones left over, with the meat on them, take them home, cut that meat off the bone, and throw it in with some fried rice. Because you get some of that dry rub gets in with the fried rice, gets a little extra
Yeah.
spice. You got that nice fatty meat, it's probably one of the best things I found to do. Other than just mowing them down late at night, cold.
We may
out
have
of
to
the fridge.
we may
glad I
have
brought
to
those home with me.
rename. We may have to rename this episode of brewing and cooking tips with Chad.
Yeah.
Totally.
Hey, I'm curious. So, if we look up on the board right now, we see all the beer options that you have. Are you satisfied as far as like, is there a core group of beers like 8 or 9 that you always want to have? Are you gonna, rotate different ones throughout the year? How's that? How's that gonna look out?
We're starting right now with 5 year-round options. So we've got the original, classic, premium, reserve, and signature. Those are our core beers, and I like having those as core beers because they cover a lot of tastes. We have original, which we've been drinking, which is your crispy boy lager. So when you get people in from out of town or people that are here for barbecue and they're like, what do you got that's closest to one of the big 3s, Bud, Miller, Coors? It's kind of this option. Reserve and premium are West Coast and hazy IPAs. IPAs are absolutely necessary. In a lot of ways, pay the bills. At a lot of breweries, a lot of people know craft beer as IPAs and high octane stouts and things like that. So they expect, that's what they expect. A lot of people. I mean, IPAs are good. Like, I'm not gonna lie, I love them.
Yeah.
But we try to do the West Coast and then the East Coast hazy IPA as well, just to cover both of those sides. I love the West Coast IPA as a style, and it's seeing a little bit of a resurgence, which I'm really happy about. Classic is our pub beer, our English style pub beer. It's just that, for people in the know, it's an ESB, but you don't call it an ESB because people see the word bitter and they're like, well, I don't want a bitter beer.
Right.
And it's like, well, I got news for you. So we branded it a little different so people understand what they're getting and we feel comfortable that we're telling them correctly what they're getting. But that's just like that beer, it's the beer that you sit around and, you drink while you're watching sports with your friends and stuff like that. And then the signature, our dark ale we were talking about earlier, that we have that smoked malt in, doesn't sit heavy, not really. We call it a dark English ale because there's not really, we don't know what else to call it. It is all those things. And not really a porter, not really a stout, not any kind of like Scottish ale or anything, but just a lightly smoky dark ale that's not going to sit heavy, that you can actually have a couple with while you're eating barbecue. It's got some of that sweetness to it, but I always joke with people, it's like the driest dark beer they'll have in Nashville, probably.
Yeah.
Because a lot of people see a dark beer and they expect it to be heavy and high octane, and it's just not. It's not how it is.
There's one that just came out 2 days ago, and I was here for it. That was my day 1 of the 3 in a row. But I came here specifically for it because Mud Club members got to try it free, or not free, got to try it first.
Yep.
And it's the big Schwartz beer that you just came out with.
I had it yesterday. Fantastic.
It is amazing. And that's exactly what you're talking. It is dark as shit, but it doesn't drink that way. It's not that heavy thing you're talking about.
Yeah, exactly. And a Schwartz beer shouldn't be. But yeah, we're really, that one came out, I was telling you, I think I was like a lot roastier than I expected, but I'm not mad about it.
Yeah.
But it drinks really nice. We did that one, and it's big Schwartz because it's 6.8%. But we did that one. We brewed that beer in conjunction with Jackson Down Liquors over in Donelson, because they gave us a barrel and we were talking about what to put in the barrel. And I was like, how do you guys feel about a Schwartz beer? And because I really wanted to do a barrel-aged Schwartz beer, and they were into it. So we barreled that and the other half kegged off to serve clean. And so, but being in doing a barrel-aged beer, I was like, wow, gotta get that alcohol up there a little bit, just an extra protection for like lower ABV beers don't necessarily age that well in barrels, especially for extended period of time. Like our plan is to release that beer for Black Friday next year, so that's at least 10 months in a barrel.
Yeah.
So yeah, so we bumped it up, but it's not boozy. It's got real smooth body to it. Super roasty, a little bit of sweetness from that alcohol in there, but not in like a sharp, like gas station vodka way.
It's beautiful. It is friggin' beautiful. I'm telling you, top to bottom,
thank you.
Just everything about it is perfect.
Yeah, we're super happy with it, and it goes so well with barbecue, especially that roasty character and something like super indulgent like that smoke burger, or something like the pulled pork sandwich, because you got the fatty meat, that mustard sauce, toasted bun, and everything. All of like that extra roasty character helps cut through a lot of those strong flavors that we're getting from the barbecue and balance everything out.
I love it. Come get the Schwartz beer. It is.
Come get it.
I had it. As a matter of fact, well, I hadn't had it yet today, but I had it Friday. I had it Saturday. I'll have it today. Well,
I've had every beer up there, and I've loved each one. So.
Thank you so much.
I sometimes actually crave the original. That clean. Everything about it is great. I sit around like. And I got some at home. Thank God I bought some beer and brought some cans home and stuff. I literally crave it. I would never say that about a lager before.
Well, thank you.
Yeah.
And the other, I'm sorry, and the other thing that just comes into my mind, and I meant to say this earlier, and I've said this to you when I've come in here before, is it's cool because we've known you for a little bit now, to see honestly how enthusiastic you are. Obviously you want to be, but how enthusiastic you are, how happy you guys are about this place. And I know I came in here, it was like the day after Thanksgiving, and I walked through the parking lot and I saw you and you're like, man, I just put that Baltic Porter up there and the mild, and you got to go get it. And I'm so, I mean, it's infectious, man. I mean, you really have that your way about you. So
yeah. Well, we know. It's part of it is when I've learned this being the first business I've owned, that like you're always in that mode of like trying to promote the business. But we're also lucky that we opened a business of things that we are super passionate about. And knowing people that are excited, like I said earlier, like people just don't get excited and don't really care about beer anymore. Folks like you that we know that are excited about beer and understand, like, are going to appreciate it in the same way that we do.
Yeah.
It is also very exciting to pass that on to you guys and be like, oh man, I know you're going to like this. I know you're going to be excited about this. We got something new. I mean, he's in here all the time. He's probably bored with the beers already.
He works down the street.
Yeah.
That way, I'm like, I'd love, if I worked down the street too, I'd be like once or twice a week going, okay, what do you got next? And maybe get some barbecue.
So often he was like, you know, we got this Mug Club member thing. This Mug Club, and I was like, I thought about, you know what? That's a bit not to. I'm Mug Club number 8, by the way, so I got in there early.
The clubhouse, actually.
That was okay. Yeah. Exactly.
Again, we get a lot of leeway, or we get a lot of mileage on the puns with house and with being stoked. And
that's a great segue. Can you talk? And I know we've had this conversation before, but can you talk about the name, where it came from, and the logo, because it's actually everything's kind of is purposeful.
Yeah. So the name came from actually, like, Mike for a minute a long time ago had a barbecue catering company, and it was called Stoke. Like he would do pop-ups at Smith and Lens before they had the pizza, like pre-tornado. And because he had that giant smoker at home, and so there was already that name out there, and we were talking about, what do we call the business? Blah, blah, blah. Like, I'm not always great at naming things. And it had to be right. It had to like hit correctly. And there was one day that we were talking about it, and we were like, I was like, so I didn't really want to I don't want to jump on your thing, but would you be comfortable if we called it Stoke? And he was like, man, I didn't want to seem like I was going to be pushing like the name that I'd already used on you or anything. You're like, yeah, it would probably, I was like, it works on a lot of levels. Stoking the fires for barbecue, stoking the fire, so to speak, to, get water hot to make a mash, to boil wort, even down to are suppliers that the malt houses, they stoke the fires to malt grain. It's like, okay. And then we could call it Stoke Haus and spelled Haus because we're, English beers and lagers are kind of our focus. We'll eventually be more as we grow. You'll see more and more of that focus. I mean, I guess you can see it on some of the stuff that we've released now. And then, we started working on some ideas for the logo. We had a couple things down, and then our graphic designer just kind of took it from there. And she did an amazing job with everything.
That's good. It's great. And I love when you tell me that, and it's like, oh, now I see it now. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So I didn't realize that they were going to open a place down the street called Dog House.
Which was the old Edley's kind of,
yeah,
coincidentally, I guess.
Yeah, I don't really know. I've never been in, so I can't say. But I drove by the other day, and I was like, oh shit. All right.
All right.
You had it first. You were here first.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
I mean, I don't know. Maybe people go in there and they're like, "Where's the barbecue?"
Yeah. You mentioned seeing him at Crazy Gnome before, and when I was here for your soft opening, the turnout was amazing. And when I say it, not just the volume of people, the people that are in the craft beer community. And I just came to one day. I think you had another day of it, and it was probably more that the faces that I recognize that have their own breweries or work in the industry or just we know from the beer thing, we're here, supporting you. And then I was like, that's a cool thing. And we saw you when Grayson was opening his new place. There, you and Park, like I kind of the same thing as that community there. And you guys all respect each other and support each other, even as other breweries. I mean, I think that's a really great thing.
Yeah, definitely. And some of us don't have the beers we want to drink on tap that day, and other people do. Or we're all pretty friendly in this. Like honestly, my entire social network is revolved around the beer industry at this point. Like even the Lindsay, the girl I'm seeing, she runs the lab and the fermentation science department at MTSU, and she teaches some fermentation classes down there as well. Like, so part of that is, it's basically just all the people I know. The only people I know are like people in the industry or people ancillarily related to the industry. But there is a lot of camaraderie. And I think you see that in craft beer just in general, all around. We're all small, fighting against the same things. But we all also know each other, and we're in an industry that's like pretty laid back, and it's fun to drink beers and get to know people. And there's not a lot of assholes in this industry. It's hard to be an asshole and survive in this industry.
Yeah, it's great. It is awesome. I talked to you before fairly recently, and you were talking about some collabs maybe possibly coming up. Can you talk to that? And then there's kind of a story behind one of the reasons you might be doing a collab, if you could talk to that.
So I've been putting some feelers out and trying to set up some collabs for this year. I've got 2 set up currently, one with East Nashville Beer Works and one with Johnson City Brewing. East Nashville Beer Works, I got to see that place when they just had the trench drains dug.
Yeah.
So that's a place that I've been going to pretty frequently over the years. It's actually on my way home. So that makes it easier. Their head brewer, Mitch, and I have been friends since we were both low men on the totem pole at different breweries. And they have a good crew there. Mike used to work there. So we set up, we're doing a black IPA with them. I actually came upon a good amount of Cascade hops, and I've always wanted to do so the black IPA, the official name of black IPA, like the style is Cascadian Dark Ale. And so I've always wanted to do a black IPA with a bunch of Cascades and call it Cascadian Rhythms and release it around like daylight savings time. So I think that's so we're gonna end up doing that. And then,
by the way, not to interrupt, and I'll continue. I can't get away from making this point. We have had so many conversations with other guys that love craft beer that talk about we want to see more black IPAs, right? I mean, really,
they just don't sell very fast.
I know.
That's why we're like, well, let's do it in a collab because then we don't have to sell.
So maybe that's our selfishness, but I mean, I think that's a subject that's come up a few times in just conversations like, black IPA. So
2026 is going to be the year for black IPA.
Yeah, we're going to make it happen.
It's going to happen. And then Johnson City Brewing, their owner, Eric, and I have been serving on the guild board together. Eric just, for the last 2 years, been president of the guild.
Yep.
And I got in during a special election because someone closed a brewery, so they couldn't technically be on the guild. So I got in. So I was in there for like a year and a half. But Eric and I got, Eric, you guys have met Eric.
Yep.
He's He's a great dude.
Yeah.
And I went there. I went to their brewery
Yeah.
over the summer. I was in Johnson City.
Yeah, I haven't
stopped in
gotten
there.
out there yet. I'm
Yep.
I'm hoping to sometime soon. It's just hard to leave.
Yeah.
But he's a great guy. We've became pretty good friends, very friendly over the last year and a half that we've been working on the board together. And so, and he was supportive. He's been like, there's times because he drives out here from Johnson City to deliver beer to the liquor store next door. And there's been a couple times he's like walked in at like 8:30 in the morning. He's just like, "Hey, sorry, I was just dropping beer off. I want to come by and support. Can I buy a 6-pack right now?" And it's like, okay. And then he's out because he's got more deliveries to do, and he's got to drive all the way back to Johnson City.
Yeah.
So we were talking about doing kind of a beer, going into spring beer, and I was talking to you about being in Cincinnati not too long ago, and I always like to stop at Mad Tree, and I was sitting at the bar at Mad Tree, and I was just watching. There's like 3 different beers that they were just like pouring. One of them was a citrus wheat beer. So I was talking to Eric, and I was like, "What if we did something like that? But it was like a Hefeweizen, and we just used some like orange peel and lemon peel or something." And he was like, "Yeah, it would be really good with some rye in there too." And then he got his the woman that is his brewer now, because
we've had them on.
Yeah,
We've had them on the podcast.
He's not as much back of house anymore because they've grown enough that he has to spend more time running the business. So we got on a group text and worked out some of the details. They're going to come down here in February.
Oh, nice.
We'll knock that out.
Because they had a Czech dark lager, Shady Links, when we were up there in May of 2025 that I had. That was just outstanding.
Yeah, I do need to get down there. I've had their beer few, mostly at festivals and stuff. Is when I get to, because I'm one of those people that doesn't really spend money on beer. One, I don't need to. I spend money on beer, but I do it from the grains and I do it from raw ingredients on. But it's also just like, it's like I got the beers I want to drink here,
Yeah.
Well, and I have to also talk about that because one of the only beers in last year that I rated really high was one of theirs, obviously yours. And then from them, I was up there around the holidays and I saw it, and it was a collab with the Party Source up there, big beer store.
Okay.
And it was a barrel age called Whispering Pines.
Oh,
and man, that thing was like 12%. It was so yeah, they do a lot of good stuff.
Yeah.
Well, the good news is you can, like you just said, they've got Johnson City next door over here. And he does a good job of like, I'll go in there and I'll find new stuff all the time that he's brought specifically from there. So he had one of the best pumpkin beers I have ever had this year. He uses real pumpkin in it. And I've told this story on there, but it says on the can, it says, it's Eric saying it. He goes, every year I debate whether or not to make this beer because it's kind of a pain in the ass or whatever. And his wife always talks him into it, and he's always glad he did afterwards because it's got real pumpkin in it, versus just spice and stuff. So it's delicious. They're doing great beer.
Yeah. They're doing a great job. And again, Eric's a great guy, and I'm sure he's a great guest on this show because he can from his time being a journalist, that boy can talk to anybody. And the conversation generally will turn into, all of a sudden you're like, I've never answered this many questions about myself. he generally is just curious about people. He's super inquisitive.
When he was on with us, I think the very first time he was asking us about us. Hey, what's happening here?
What are you guys doing?
The old switcheroo.
One thing I'd like to just kind of end on, there's a whole, and we could talk as much as you want, but talk about Jason for a minute. And I heard your story about how you got him on the Foamy Heads thing, but how important has he been for you guys opening up, you guys being here because of his experience and background?
He's been clutch. It was going to be, we knew going into it that we're like, we need someone that's going to run the front of house because Mike's going to be full of the food. I'm going to be full of the beer. And I also do a lot of the like the accounting and all that kind of stuff because again, numbers focused, spreadsheets, all of that. So we had seen it before in breweries that had suffered because somebody tried to do too many things and stretch themselves too thin, and then all the things they were trying to do suffered some one way or another. So we were like, we needed to find someone solid for the front of house. And I've known Jason for a number. He used to be the GM over at Tennessee Brew Works, so I know him from his time at Tennessee Brew Works. Very knowledgeable guy, very curious, very into if something doesn't work, he's going to figure out how to make it fucking work. And he, he's opened plenty of bars and worked at in plenty of bars around in East Nashville. Like if you've been in East Nashville for the last 10 years, you probably sat next to him drinking a beer, or he's served you a beer or a cocktail or something. So we knew he had the experience, and originally we were just asking him to put some feelers out because he was kind of he wanted to be out of the business. He'd been out for a little bit. So we asked him if he could put some feelers out or put us in touch with some people that would work. And eventually he was like, oh, I mean, I'm not going to retell the story exactly like I did on the Foamy Heads podcast, because you can listen to the Foamy Heads podcast.
Please do.
But this is one of my favorite pieces of Stoke Haus lore. It was a couple weeks after our first meeting with him, just kind of explaining what we were doing here and what we were looking for in a taproom manager. And he sent me a text and he was like, so hypothetically, and I was like, he's got him.
Yeah.
And so he came in and he knows, just the second meeting we had with him, he had a tape measure with him so we could measure behind the bar and figure out where he's going to figure out where everything is going to go. Setting up a bar is not, just, you don't just throw things there. It's not just an intuitive thing. It needs to be really intentional. Just, knowing how much money to keep in, like, okay, the registers need this much change in them, but we need a bank with this much change, how much change to keep in there. Like, those are things that like I didn't have any idea about. Mike didn't have any idea about. We didn't have time to figure it out. So someone coming in with that, and he put a really great team together. Everyone that's on our team still on the bar side has been here since day one, which is awesome. And they all do a really great job. And then he came up with the whole the handmade sodas program. Because originally I was like, yeah, we want to lean on NA. So I'm going to have a hop water, sparkling mineral water. I'm going to have a sparkling lemonade, all these on tap. And he was like, well, actually I have some ideas. Focus on the sparkling mineral water. Cool. And then he came back with a whole syrups and juices program that'll eventually translate to cocktails when we get our liquor license as well. So he really, he knew the vibe we wanted to set for the house. He put the team together to do that. He gave us a built-in NA program that also makes us, more inclusive and welcoming, especially to families and stuff like that. And he helps us run things like when we have advice, when sometimes we're like, okay, we have this issue and we think we should handle it this way. And it's like, Jason, we know you've had experience in this. Like, this is how we're about to handle. Like, what do you think? What have you done in the past? What have you seen work and not work? What aren't we thinking about? So, he's been absolutely clutch in this whole thing. Like, Stoke Haus would not exist as it is now without Jason.
It's that trust you're talking about. Like, you trust Mike and Mike trusts you. You have the same trust in Jason to do it.
Yeah, absolutely. There's never been an issue where it's been like, I don't think Jason's not doing something right that needs to be done. Yep. A lot of times it's just like, oh, hey, like when do you plan on being finished with this, just so I can know, just because I'm curious. Yeah. It's not like get a fire under your ass. It's like, oh yeah, I remember we were talking about this last week. Where are we on that? How can I help with that? Like, what do you need from me? Are we like covering all those things? But no, it's been great. Like, the three of us worked really well together, and it's nice. Again, if we had tried to be running the front house ourselves, it would have been a mess, because neither of us would have been able to focus enough on it. Give that really great hospitality experience.
Yeah, absolutely. I've got to know him just from being here, and he's great. Remember my name from the first time I ever came in. Just that kind of.
And he's just like Eric. That guy can talk to anybody, and he will. If you sit at the bar and start talking to him, man, you're gonna learn some things. You're gonna be in a conversation longer than you thought you would be, and you're not gonna be mad about it.
Right? You're gonna walk away like, man, I'm smarter than I was when I came in
here. Yeah. So and that's the that friendliness, that hominess, that feeling welcome and not feeling like you're trying to we're trying to push you out so we can get another person come in and spend money in that bar seat, or we're not trying to necessarily flip tables super, super fast. Like, we want people to be able to come here and chill and feel kind of like they're part of it in a certain way. Not just a guest, but they're like, part of the feel of the place.
Well, I've definitely gotten that vibe since day one. Of course, I don't know you, but it's still, the vibe is there. People that came in yesterday with us for the first time, right? And they completely loved it and loved the vibe, and we spent many hours here yesterday.
Yeah.
If you want to get to these other 4 breweries you want to go to, we better leave.
Or you could just stay here.
Exactly.
That's like, you got the best beer. So, anything else for you, Steve?
You know what? I was going to see if we could coax Mike's over here just to say hey to him real quick. And say,
Mike.
Hey, Mike.
It's 2 minutes. I know you're busy.
2 minutes.
Flip that microphone on.
I know he's busy, and you guys are about to open.
Just to say hi. We're wrapping up anyway.
Mike, we're wrapping up, but we had to bring you over.
There's Mike.
We know you're about to start cooking, but we wanted to just thank you as well for being a part of the brewery experience.
Oh yeah, absolutely. It's my pleasure. I mean, it's a dream for us for sure, but like a lot of people in our position, and the fact that we've been able to do this and had the vision and been able to execute it fairly well to what we're looking for in our standards that we've set for ourselves. It's cool, man. It feels good.
It's great. We love the experience with everything you guys are doing, the food, the beer, combination of the
that's what was crazy. Is like, obviously, like we have our thing, and not a lot of people are doing beer and barbecue together, but it's like that's not even what we were doing. We were both brewing, you know. So it's just cool that we've been able to do it and do it well. I think.
Yeah.
It's a it's a jump. You jump off and you hope that you can fly, and we're flapping our wings.
We were just talking about the trust you guys have in each other to handle the.
Oh, yeah.
It's got to be such a relief, right? So I can focus on my thing.
That was the biggest thing. Like whenever I wanted to open up a brewery, I've always wanted to do. I've always wanted food to be a big aspect. And then the more I got into brewing and the more I, kept being into food, the more I realized I think I want to do the food side of stuff. But I was already in the beer industry and I wanted to make sure that I did every job, whether it was packaging or cellar work or, running a brewery. And I pretty much did everything, including sales and stuff. But I never wanted somebody to be able to bullshit me, Yep. And I'm working with Chad. It was cool because there was always small things and we'd be tired and he'd be like, well, let's just get this done and let's make sure. Like I saw that there was no corners being cut, and that wasn't because of me enforcing it. It was because that was his own standards, and I didn't have to. And I hate the term babysitting, but I didn't have to babysit, and I knew that he had the same mindset as far as not slacking, and that was big. And then for me with the food, honestly, that was him just understanding my passion. But that was that's probably nerve wracking a little bit because it's not like I had this crazy experience with anything food related. And so he just trusted me. And that was kind of blind faith, I think. But again, we're doing good.
Yeah, it's worked. It worked out.
You were talking about making beer to kind of pair with the food. Is there the food that you're making and stuff? Obviously, it's barbecue and stuff. Do you think about what you're making? You want to make the smoked burger to pair with the beer also? Kind of go in that direction, or does it kind of work?
So it kind of works its way out itself because a lot of the food I have or that I enjoy pairs with beer, but also like you can almost pair anything with food, like any beer. There's so many different styles and stuff. Mm-hmm. But I think one of the best things we do here is our beers are straightforward and simple, and they're things that they're all sessionable. They're all enjoyable and crushable. Even our dark beers, you can sit and have 3 or 4 pints. Yeah. And that's I think the best way to go with food. It's like refreshing. It's a palate cleanser, and then you can dig in deeper and get those nuances of, how it complements the food and whatnot. But everything that I have for the most part on the menu, almost everything is nostalgia based and something that I either grew up with or there's a point in my life where I really love this item. And since I've been drinking beer since I was 21 years old, on the dot, and so anytime I was eating food, I'd have a beer with it. And being in San Diego, for that whole time of my early, 20s, San Diego is such a beer mecca that it's part of the culture. Yeah. It's part of a culture in a way that if you're not from a beer city, you would not really understand how much it is ingrained in the city and in the community itself. So I was having beer with every food item I had, and that's just how I learned to cook and learned how I, learned to eat is just with beer, which sounds crazy, but it's true. So
especially after you get a lot of West Coast there.
Yes, absolutely. Oh my gosh. Yeah. No, I'll never forget some of that, those times having like fish tacos and pairing it with the West Coast or really anything out there. It's fantastic. Good food and good beer, but that's just kind of part of like my ethos, Right. Yeah, absolutely.
Chad kind of gave me a look earlier because I had sort of mentioned, like, I guess Nashville is sort of known for barbecue. I don't know. It's debated, right? But I said, we were talking yesterday, you met some friends over here, but I said, it's as good. It's better than anything in town.
Thank you.
So
yeah.
if Nashville's saying, we're the home of barbecue. Well, not home, but, people love barbecue and
they do.
Come to Nashville.
They do.
But here, I think it's better than anywhere else you can go.
Thank you. Yeah. Whenever I've always loved barbecue, and growing up in Texas, barbecue is everywhere. And even whenever I was a young kid, I always, loved barbecue. I thought it was such a cool food. The idea of it was just really, I don't know, rough around the edges. And I thought it was interesting. And then whenever I got into cooking it as I got older, I enjoyed it. So anywhere I ever went, I would always seek out barbecue, especially in like the South and whatnot. But I was so excited to move to Tennessee and move to Nashville for some like eating that barbecue and having that experience. And the whole time I was driving here, I had my windows down. I was music, just blasting, and I was smelling all these smells. Where I was like, I'm gonna hold off until I get to Nashville. I'm gonna wait until I get to Nashville. And to be honest, whenever I got to Nashville, I was a little disappointed because I thought they would be a little bit better quality. I thought it'd be more like prevalent, top tier stuff, and just seeing how that can be in like Austin and even Houston and whatnot. I was expecting it to just be everywhere. And there's some good spots, here in Nashville for sure. It's just not as saturated as I thought. And so I knew that was also still a good opportunity, to pursue, and also to do it to my style and my quality, that I wanted to put out. And again, there's some really great spots, and I will support them forever. And I would, even other spots, close by, I've been thinking about going to just to go say hey and whatnot. Because it's kind of like the beer community, that camaraderie. It could be the same thing. But I knew I could have a spot. I just had to set it up and follow through with it. And
Raise the bar, sure.
Trying.
Beer and barbecue.
It's cool. I feel like we've been putting out some cool hits, from the ribs to the brisket to the burger. It's all been well received, and I love the feedback, and I appreciate it.
Absolutely. Real quick, from Texas, there's a lot of beef in Texas.
Yeah,
right.
100%. Oh, they're not that hard to do. No, I would say honestly, a beef rib might even be easier than brisket. Okay. And I think brisket's pretty easy. It's just people can overcomplicate things. But beef is king in Texas for sure. There's classes. You can go to Texas A&M, and that's all you're studying.
You're really good at it.
Yeah, for sure. But beef ribs will definitely be on the menu. Sausage will be on the menu. I finally have somebody on the trailer. I'm not doing everything single-handedly with food like I was for the first 3 months. I have people helping me now with some prep work, which is extremely big. We've been able to add some more sides, whether it's the plantains or Brussels sprouts, which were short-lived because of a shortage, I guess, in the supply chain. We're going to be adding some crispy chickpeas as bar snack that we'll be having that are going to be seasoned really awesomely. And all sorts of things. I was just talking with Jason about adding dessert and how important that is. Greens, we get questions about that. But then also things like chicken wings, smoked and fried chicken wings. I want that on the menu. So I've been able to expand, and having Ty now on the trailer for me has allowed us to also start thinking about that and have time to even consider it. Because I can step away for a minute and, get the beef ribs on the menu, get a plan to make some sausage. I know we have a Bangers and Mash event coming up on the 15th. I don't know if Chad's talked about that, but it's going to be really cool. And I'm making sausage for
spinning records, and but those are the bangers. Sausages are the bangers.
Yeah.
And then the mash is beer.
Yeah.
All right. So I'll be doing some classic Texas style cheddar jalapeno, which I've done before. People have had that sausage at other places that I've either worked or at my house or whatnot. So that's gonna be the first round. I did some other sausage before, some Nashville hot links that were really great, and I used a Bray Idiot hot chicken seasoning, and those were fantastic. We did bratwurst; those turned out way good.
So good.
Yeah, those are awesome. So I'd like to get sausage more, in the mix. It just is a labor intensive thing. It takes time. But with having people help me out, I'm able to actually not just tread water. I can start, swimming, and I think we're heading in a great direction for that. Yeah.
Yeah. It's kind of like the first step of growth for us. It was like, all right, we need to give Mike some help, get him some relief so he can focus on expanding the menu, bringing more options
because as you talked about
more specials and things like that.
Just make it 3 days ahead, and I think 3 days.
Oh yeah. Absolutely. I know I'm here as soon as I can be before opening to get everything set, get everything going. And usually I'm cooking, and up until this week, I've been almost every day, for the most part, unless it was on a Monday or something like that. First one in, last one leaving. I'd lock up after the bartenders. I'd be in here before the bartenders, and every once in a while, Jason would beat me in. I'd come in and Chad would be in here doing something, like he was in here today before me. But it's a long process for it. But if it's something that you want, you have to do it. And there's certain steps. You can't half-ass anything. And I want to put out a great product. I want people to be blown away by it. And this is part of it. It's part of the process. Now, if you don't serve raw chicken, you have to cook it. Well, to serve great barbecue, I have to cook it. It takes time. It's just a long process.
You don't get to roll out of bed just before you get it.
Sure. It doesn't work like that. And I could cut corners. I could, hold things, cook things. And with certain things that actually will be okay. Like I want to smoke and fry chicken wings. Well, I can do a big batch, smoke the chicken wings, hold them, and then fry them, for the day. That's different than something like pulled pork or ribs. You don't want to dry your ribs out. You don't want your brisket to, overcook or, dry out as well. Like you really want to do that day before, hold it and rest it and have it ready for that day, that next day. Yeah. I'm not doing things, all on Monday and then serving up until Saturday or Sunday. It's not my bag. Yeah.
I'm glad we got them both on today. You guys have been extremely generous with your time, and we appreciate it. And we'll be seeing you again a lot here.
Yeah, well, thank you guys. I'm glad you included me.
Anything else we didn't touch on that you want to talk about or anything real quick? Or?
No, I think we covered you guys. You guys are pretty thorough.
Yeah. If you haven't been here, come say hey. Don't be afraid to say hi to me or Chad. We're both friendly people. If you come in for food, definitely grab a beer. If you come in for beer, definitely try the food.
Yep.
I feel like there's sometimes people don't realize that it's all one thing. I think that is something, that can pop up is people might think that like the food is a separate thing. It's all one thing.
Trust us. We know firsthand.
Yeah.
You get the full brewery experience.
That's
here.
right.
That's awesome.
You absolutely will see Chad and Mike every time you're in here. I know I do. And then you're like, God, you can.
I love it. I love the familiar faces.
Yeah, absolutely. But you guys are around all the time. But thank you again so much.
Yeah, thank you guys.
Yeah,
too. I really appreciate it.
You guys always be good to us. We appreciate it, and we're happy for you guys. And
We'll have more questions one day, hopefully soon again. We'll come back and do it again. So,
well, I know he'll be here Wednesday and Thursday and Friday.
You're gonna put me to work at some point.
Hey, like I said earlier, if you start busting glasses, I might pay you.
Hey, rookies go in the back. I just start taking it.
Chad and Mike and Steve and Scott here, Brewing Underground podcast from Stoke Haus. Thanks, guys.
Cheers.